Top of the morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, the very first show of Silverstones. Should mention that that's not our official name. It's just something that we're going with for the time being. We really just want to start putting out some content for people and get the ball rolling on things here. So we thought this would be a good place to start. So this show itself is just going to be a quick introduction about myself and kind of how we see the channel evolving over time from start to finish. So for the first show, that's what we're going to be talking about. And we'll start with myself here. You're going to have to bear with me here. I'm not really used to talking into a camera by myself. Probably something I'll get used to. My little brother and a really good friend of my drums have a podcast that we've been doing for a little while now. So I have a bit of experience doing this, but it's still very weird to be talking to a camera by myself. So bear with me here. And for those who don't know me, my name is Jordan Headley. I'm a CPA by trade. I live in Manitoba. I've spent my entire life in Manitoba and probably will for the foreseeable future, at least. We grew up in a very small town of Strathclair, very small, but a great town, but very small. And at the age of 11, I think it was, we moved to Dauphin, which was a place that I'd never been to before. It was on the other side of this crazy big mountain called Riding Mountain National Park. And so I still remember driving through there, and it was almost like being in a different country almost. But anyways, I graduated from high school there, really grew up in Dauphin, physically for sure. Mentally still growing up, I guess, every day and may never fully develop mentally. But and I think that those who know me would attest to that as well. Graduated in high school, pumped gas for about a year, I think, maybe a little bit more at Husky, and coached hockey for a couple of years as well, and then decided that it was about time that I got educated. So I took my first year of college at ACC in Dauphin, and then I moved to Brandon, where I would spend the next 12 or 13 years of my life. Took ACC there my second year, and then I went to Brandon University for my economics and Bachelor of Business degree. Started working at BDO right out of university, and I worked there for 8 years, which is pretty crazy. But I loved working at BDO. I loved the people there, and I had a really great boss, which made a huge difference for me being there that long. And at the end, I guess our paths just didn't really align in a sense. But that's life. I mean, that's how things go. I think that a lot of the knowledge I learned at BDO will translate really well into what I'm working on now. So it was great experience. But I guess that's kind of where I wanted to start was in 2020, early 2020, when the world shut down. The world changed, and we didn't really know how much of an impact it was going to be for sure. I remember leaving BDO in March of 2020, and I packed up my computer, packed up my keyboard and my mouse, and I said goodbye to one of the partners there, see you in a couple weeks. And I think that was the last day I actually worked in office at BDO, from March 2020 until the time I left BDO in December 2021. The world changed a ton, and I think that a lot of us changed as well. For myself personally, I know that I changed significantly in that amount of time, and I think that there's a lot of people going through that same kind of process right now. And it is, anytime you have change in your life, it's very hard to do, but especially on that grand of a scale is wild. So if this, if you're one of those people right now who have that kind of feeling in their gut that something's wrong, you just don't really know what it is, or you can't put your finger on it, I think that this channel is going to be a big benefit to you. And hopefully that's what it turns into anyway. So anyways, back in 2020, the world really changed and we had a lot of time on our hands. And so I guess maybe just reverse, maybe a couple of years. I remember hearing about Bitcoin for the first time in, say, 2016 or 2017, wherever it was. And I also remember not giving it a second thought. And I didn't really understand it at the time, but looking back, I can see why. And it's because of the narrative that had been pushed into our heads by the people who didn't want us using Bitcoin. And so when I saw that the price was going up and there was a little bit of chatter about it online, like I said, I never even looked into it for a split second. And it was because I had just been trained that it was a scam or that it was a Ponzi scheme, or as Warren Buffett calls it, rat poison, which he actually invests in Bitcoin and just doesn't tell anybody that yet. But anyways, I thought that Bitcoin was bad and it was used by criminals, and just the narrative. And I'm sure you've heard these narratives before. It's probably why you haven't got into Bitcoin yet. So in 2020, I had some time on my hands and I started looking into things. Things weren't making a whole lot of sense in my head. So I just kind of started sniffing around on a few things, and I realized, first of all, how broken our monetary system was. And you can't really understand Bitcoin until you understand how messed up things are with our own dollars and our own monetary system that we've been using for the last 100 years. So that was a big part of it, and I think that that's going to be a big part of this channel as well, but we'll get into that in a second. And so I started looking into Bitcoin, and I realized how much value it could bring to the world if we get it right, how much value it could bring to the world. And so at that moment, I knew that it was something that I needed to be working on right now. I need to be focused on it because I thought, I still believe this more and more every day, that it's going to be a huge part of our future. And so it was days, mornings, nights, whatever it may be. I was just listening and watching and learning and stuff. And it finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to do this full time, because I realized that at that time, I was kind of the only person within my social network that was into it. And whenever you're there, you need to be helping people, especially if it's something that you really believe in. See it as an opportunity, and that's kind of what I did. So I started a company called Silverstone Solutions. The website's right here. You don't have to click on it right now, but if you want to later on, you can. And so I'm basically just helping people get into Bitcoin, helping them get started, helping them find resources and exchanges and platforms that they can trust, and how to store it properly, and then how to make more money, and the opportunities that go so far beyond just buying and selling Bitcoin, because it is an entire industry that we're kind of watching unfold right now. And one thing that I saw a couple of weeks ago, somebody was talking about, one of the guys that I follow, he was talking about Bitcoin and how niche the industry is right now. In a $900 trillion asset world, 900 trillion total, Bitcoin takes up about 400 billion of that right now. So it's a very niche industry, and there's not a whole lot of people who are in the industry and learning about it and buying it. And so whenever you're in a niche industry that's growing, you get to grow with it. And I think that that's something that really is exciting to me personally. And the other part of it was that it's just people look at the charts, people look at the news and what's going on and the government and whatever they're saying, but they don't see the whole picture there. They don't see the opportunities there, and how much capital is leaving the old system and going into the industry, the Bitcoin industry, the blockchain industry. And so it's just something that demand is growing every day. And if you know Bitcoin at all, and if you don't, that's fine. It's something that we're going to be learning a lot about on this channel. But the supply is going down, the demand's going up, and that's a pretty good economic recipe, in my opinion, anyway. So that's my spiel of how I got here. And I'm going to be doing 10 or 15 minute segments, I think, on Bitcoin, on finance, on silver, on anything that I think that I could help people with getting started into this whole journey. So I'm going to be doing that, just a bunch of quick episodes of 10 or 15 minutes long, that easy to digest, easy for people to comprehend and really just get their feet wet in it. But also Kyle and I are going to be just having discussions on things. So we're going to be having, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, whatever it may be, we're just going to be talking about things and world events and how it kind of translates into our lives, and really just talk about some subjects that maybe people aren't really comfortable talking about. And that doesn't mean, anything crazy. We really don't want to have any sort of agenda when we're going through this stuff, which is going to be hard, I think, for us, because we both lean a little bit to the right, for sure, and we both admit that. The problem for me is that anytime you're leaning one way that they don't want you to be leaning, it's catastrophic to them, and you're labeled as an extremist or whatever. You know all the words that they use to describe people who basically just want to live a normal life and not be told what they need to do. So the point is that our show here is going to be focused on bringing people facts objective facts and talking about how it's going to impact us. That's it. We might have some opinions on things. We're both kind of opinionated guys for sure. We'll be the first to admit that. We don't know everything. We're going to bring people on who do know stuff about certain topics that we want to learn about. And we just want to kind of grow as a community, I guess, and a community of people who think the same and who kind of have that same feeling inside their gut right now that something is off and they don't really know what it is, and they want to talk about it. They want to learn things. They want to explore different topics and see where that leads. And so that's what we're going to try to facilitate here. So investing and finance is kind of going to be the cornerstone, I think, to the show. But we're also going to be talking about a bunch of different things like cooking, like fitness, like sports cards, like just a bunch of random stuff that we know about. We're obviously not experts in any of the subjects. And like I said, that's why we're going to bring people on who are. But it's from our own experiences. And I think that that's the best way to teach people is through things that have or haven't worked for you. And that doesn't need to come from a textbook. It doesn't need to come from a degree or something on the wall. It's what has worked for you and what hasn't worked for you. And just talk about that and have people on who can share similar experiences as that. So we're going to be doing quick episodes, educational pieces. Kyle, going back to cooking quickly, because I think that's going to be a really fun part of this channel. I haven't experienced it personally, but apparently Kyle is an extraordinary cook, loves cooking. And I've also heard that he should have his own cooking show. So I'm really pushing for him to start doing some different cooking shows, and whether it's 10 or 15 or whatever length it is, I think that it would be awesome for him to do that. Because myself personally, I'm not a huge cook. I'm more of a chicken, steak, potatoes kind of guy, but he loves cooking. So I think that it's something that he should share with people. And if anyone can learn from that, even better. So it'll be cooking. And we're going to have, like I said, our discussions, and then we're going to have people on here doing interviews. So local business people we want to have on. We want to talk about, how have things changed since the world changed? How do you see it changing going forward from here? And really just share some of the knowledge that they've accrued through the years. Because I think that there's a lot of people in the same situation who are maybe considering starting their own business or starting their own side hustle or just decentralizing themselves from the corporate world. So I think that the people that we want to bring on here are going to bring a lot of value to a lot of people who are ready to hear it. And so I really don't want to drag this on too long. Kind of the point of this, like I said, was just to give a quick interview of the channel and kind of set the tone for what things are going to look like on here. And really look forward to it. Like I said, if any of this has resonated with you, that's perfect. Stick around for more. We're going to be doing this, hopefully a couple shows every week, whatever that looks like, whatever format it may be. And I personally really look forward to it and really excited about seeing where this could lead into and what kind of community, I guess, we're going to build here in terms of people who have the same values and think the same and just have a lot of questions. I think that's the main thing. So anyways, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, I really respect that. So take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you very soon, and enjoy the rest of your day. It's Friday here. I'm going to be switching from coffee to beers right away. So we'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.